You are about to witness history in the making.
Hello, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and welcome to the Pop Culture Gamers podcast. This is show number 115. It's 25th of April, and I'm on my own, despite the fact that there is now three of us doing a podcast, and also Alan as well. Let's not forget him, he's still a current member of the podcast. Unfortunately, Steve's done his back in, and it's Mark's birthday. So what I'm going to say is, Steve, hope you're feeling a lot better soon. And Mark, happy birthday, hope you're having a great day, and we'll see you in the next show. Also, a big shout out to Alan as well. He's, starting work again now, and hopefully doing really well there. Keep you updated, and maybe for some other news about that as well. Okay, so let's move on. So in terms of what's been happening this week, I've had a new gadget. I haven't had a new gadget for a little while, and this one I absolutely love because it will help me produce a show, and it will also help me do YouTube videos and stuff like that. So this gadget is called a Shuttle Express. It's by Contour Designs, and it's a different type of peripheral to basically control your computer for things like timeline scrolling, that sort of thing. But there are also hot buttons on there as well, which you can press to do various different things. It installs a discrete little piece of software on your computer, which actually reacts to whatever program that you're using. So as long as there is a profile for that program, it will create you, or it will have predefined controls in there. So for example, if you're using Adobe Premiere or Adobe Elements, then it will jog through the timeline either with the big dial sort of jog or the frame by frame sort of jog, which is a little wheel on the inside. You just hold your finger down and just move it around click by click by click. And obviously the hotkeys do exactly what they should do, which is, whatever they're assigned to do. Now, just because there is a predefined interface and controls there and preferences, it doesn't mean that you are stuck with those. You can change them as well. If you're not in that application, say Adobe, it'll also work in Word because it'll scroll down pages, either line by line or much quicker, or Excel spreadsheets, anything that you like, and you can actually configure that yourself as well. So what I've done is I've created one for using on Windows generally, which the jog wheel now uses scrolling up and down web pages at various different speeds, or line by line with the the little dial that's in the middle of the jog wheel. And also using the three buttons at the top as cut, copy and paste, and the left and right ones as alternate left and right mouse buttons, because there's 5 hotkeys on there as well. So if I'm just using the jog wheel, which I might be, sometimes I might not have the mouse, but the mouse is in a point where I might want a left click, then I can still do that. So it's a really, really good piece of kit. It costs £39.99 from Amazon, and it's really well worth you having a look, especially if you're doing any form of video editing on a regular basis, but it can have other applications as well. At work-wise, I've actually been recording another podcast. This one is in relation to hidden harm, which is basically any harm that comes to children and young people which is not witnessed or found out about by professionals or anybody working with children and young people, and what to do if a professional, member of the public, member of the family next door neighbour, whoever, actually thinks, well, a child might have been harmed. So hopefully it will be a good, helpful guide for lots of people, which would also include businesses as well and that sort of stuff. So all of that will be released very soon. I'll probably provide everybody with the details of that just in case you are interested in the sort of stuff that I do in my day-to-day work. Other than that, it's been pretty much of a quiet week. Not really a great deal has happened. Very bog standard sort of week. So without further ado, we will go over to Gaming This Week.
No longer a dream, but a reality.
And for Gaming This Week, we've got some news. So there's been an updated graphics for the Series X and Series S games. The Xbox developer event, it was unveiled that dev kits have been showing the Fidelity FX, which is AMD's version of the super sampling that's on the NVIDIA processors to make games look better. So hopefully in next several months we might actually be starting to see some better looking games, which is already good, seeing as the games already look better. Also, Xbox has announced a beta on the iPhone for Windows and Xbox gaming. Meanwhile, over at PlayStation side, there is a new service that's going out with PlayStation Plus, but only if you're Polish. And that is PlayStation Plus Video Pass is being rolled out for Polish users as an added benefit for their on-demand video entertainment service. The service will be running a trial for a year, and evidently there's going to be about 21 movies on there. So other than that, another thing that has happened is, while we had raised concerns about the closure of the PS3 and Vita stores, they're not going away evidently. Yay! That's a really good bit of news because, let's face it, we didn't want to get rid of them, and it can't really cost them any more money to do that. All the programming's already there, so just allowing them to, or people to hook up their PS3s and Vitas to continue to buy stuff. I think that there's obviously been a bit of public outcry about that. Meanwhile, Knights of the Old Republic, there's been talks that an online Knights of the Old Republic remake is happening, and it's been attributed to the company Aspyr as being developing that, and they're the ones who produced Star Wars Republic Commando. And as soon as I heard that, I have to admit my excitement has dwindled somewhat, because I did find it to be a slightly lazy port personally. I wasn't a big fan of the game, but I was a big fan of it originally. So here we go. Other news is in terms of movers. Jeff Kaplan is leaving Activision Blizzard after 19 years of service. He was leading on Overwatch 2, so it's going to be interesting to see what's happening with that now. PC-wise, PC owners can now get a Portal community-led update on stream, which looks really good. And more about Assassin's Creed as well, but not how you would think. Ubisoft is expanding its network of publishing partners to create a more Assassin's Creed content in various different formats by authors, illustrators and content creators from all over the world, in the hope that Assassin's Creed stories will resonate with fans wherever they live, particularly in China, Japan and Korea. Now, that sort of news kind of excites me a little bit, because is this going to mean that we are actually going to see the Chinese or Japanese Assassin's Creed that we've been asking for all these years? I seriously hope so. And they've really got a tall order to be Ghost of Tsushima. So it's going to be really interesting to see if that's what they're doing. Although there was the talk last week about the rumours of it, the next Assassin's Creed being about King Richard. Additionally, these new and existing pieces of content will be classified under 3 different labels to help give some context to fans. That will be classics, which will be direct adaptations on the story of the video games, chronicles, which will be new adventures and favourite iconic assassins, and then origins, which is new narratives featuring new protagonists and time periods. In terms of new releases, we've got King of Seas on the PC, PS4, Xbox One and Switch. Airports, actually this is all from the 25th, an airport for aliens currently run by dogs, which is a very unusual name for a game. but that's on PC and Xbox Series X. Maneater on the Switch, Biomutant on the PC, PS4 and Xbox One, Oddworld Collection on the Switch, Root Serve Patcher on the PC, World's End Club on the Switch, and Fallen Knight on the PC. Twitch-wise, there is some benefits for anybody who subscribes to that service. There's the new exotics for Destiny and also the loot for Rainbow Six Siege as well. And there are 2 new games, Figment and Iris and the Giant, that are available. In terms of the Epic Game Store, we've got some more added content for this. At the moment, up until the 29th of April at 4 PM, we've got Alien Isolation and Hand of Fate 2, both of which are free now up until the 29th. And then we've got, from the 29th to the 6th of May, Idle Champions and the Forgotten Realms. I've played that on the Xbox, never really rated it, but if it's your bag, then you can pick it up for free on Epic. So, other than that, let's move on to our gaming this week. And what I've been playing is Rain on Your Parade, which is a very cutesy sort of little indie game that is now available on Game Pass, but it's also available on other consoles. I believe it's also available on PlayStation and the Switch as well, and maybe PC. I'm not too sure about that one. Well, actually, definitely on PC, actually, because I played it on PC. What am I talking about? I was sort of expecting this to be a real cheap sort of cash grab with the upload to, Game Pass, and I was really quite pleasantly surprised, actually, about how good this game is. There's about 50 levels in the game, and each has core and additional objectives. In order to progress to the next level, you have to complete all the requirements for the star level, or for the stars in the level, and they can be quite cryptic. So, for example, there was one level where I got stuck, which was within a restaurant, and you play a cloud, and the whole point is that you rain on people. And if you're not raining on people, you either strike lightning at them, you do a tornado, or you snow on them. And I got stuck on this level for, not for very long. I quickly figured it out, but 2 things that you had to do in order to pass the level was rain over some an electric wire that had been separated to reconnect the connection, and then absorb water from a floor mop bucket and then rain that into people's drinks. So that's the sort of thing that you have to do on this. It does sound absolutely crazy. It is a really crazy game, but it's actually really quite cute. It's quite fun. It's a good game you could play with the kids as well. It's a good all-round sort of like family game like that. It's sort of the reason why I play a lot of these indie games, which is to find something that is totally different, and this is quite different. Obviously there's the aspects of, having to complete levels or whatever. There is even a new Game Plus mode in this. There's actually a first-person shooter element to this game as well, where instead of shooting gun, you shoot water. It is crazy. There's even a sort of like tower defense level in there as well. There's lots and lots of puzzles to do. It's a 1000k is probably about a 5-hour completion, I would say, which it's free, but even if you bought it, then that's not too bad for an indie game. So most of the achievements are unlocked after you have completed the game. So you have to go into New Game Plus and do the additional requirements. If you try and do them before, you just don't unlock the requirement, even if you meet it. It has to be done in New Game Plus. It has a very defined art style, which I think looks quite good as well. And a surprising amount of variety in the game, as I've already mentioned. The Doom level and tower defense. I was not expecting anything at all like that at all. Well worth a look. Relatively short, as I said. You can catch an hour of it as well on the Pop Culture Gamers YouTube channel. Don't forget to like and subscribe. when you have a look there as well. We do still need 14 people before we can actually name our channel. So, you know, come on, guys. We've been stuck on this for weeks now. Just go and subscribe, please. The other game that I've been playing is Zombie Army 4 Dead Army. So this is part 4 in a long-running Zombie Army series, which is based on Sniper Elite. The game is very much what you would expect. Hordes of zombies attacking, or Nazi zombies, I should say. Basically, the story is that when losing the war, Hitler uses his spells and use of the occult to bring back the dead, and he turned himself into the dead as well in a previous game, and Zombie Hitler was cast out into hell, but that does not stop the zombie hordes raiding across Europe. The gameplay is very much a quicker version of Sniper Elite. I always feel that Sniper Elite is quite a thought out, slow, methodical kind of game. This is very much more quick gameplay. You can easily get overrun by zombies. In terms of early on in the game, before you get to level 10, you can't unlock things like extended mags and that sort of thing. That really, really becomes a pain in the backside, because you run out of ammo very, very quickly. I mean, really quickly. In terms of your chamber, you might have loads of ammo on you, but it constantly means that you're battling between shifting your position, which you're not really sniping at all. You have the same guns, same weapons as Sniper Elite, but this is much more arcadey kind of thing, done in third person. And while the ammo isn't really restricted, there's lots of ammo crates all over the place. It does make it feel like you're constantly running low on ammo. So it's an interesting sort of battle in terms of that. These games are not easy. There's very few games that I will play on easy, and this is one of them, because I want to get through the story more, but it's just punishing when you go to higher levels. But it's well worth a look. It's on Game Pass at the moment, so it's free to play. If you want to see what the game looks like, then go on to our YouTube channel. You'll be able to see an hour's worth just over of gameplay of that on the PC. Obviously Xbox Series X, and that looks basically exactly the same. But it's not a bad game at all, especially if you've already followed the Zombie Army games before, or you've bought Zombie Army Trilogy, which I have. Yeah, it's enjoyable, but also punishing at the same time. So anyway, that's it for gaming this week, because we haven't got the other guys, so we'll move on to movies, TV and streaming.
In quest of a better life.
Right, so for movies, TV and streaming, we don't have lots of news. The exciting bit of news for people who live in North Yorkshire this week, however, has been that Tom Cruise has been around places like Pickering filming the latest Mission Impossible movie. So that's been on the news and stuff like that locally, which has been really interesting. So, you know, we've obviously got Tom coming back, and they're all doing the COVID safe stuff. When you see the clips on the TV and the news, they're all wearing the masks and stuff like that till they actually start filming. Anyway, we have from, in terms of Blu-ray and DVD releases, from the 26th of April, 13 Ghosts, which is on Blu-ray, Batman vs Superman Dawn of Justice Remastered, IMAX ratio on 4K Blu-ray, Fatherland on Blu-ray, Marvel Studios Avengers 1-4 box set 4K Blu-ray, Riddick The Complete Collection, Pitch Black, The Chronicles of Riddick, Dark Fury, and The Chronicles of Riddick, and then just Riddick. That's all on DVD. We've got Short Circuit 2 Deluxe Edition on Blu-ray, The Fantastic Journey Complete Series, if you remember that series from many, many, many years ago. And X-Men 1-10, the movie collection, every X-Men film apart from Logan, basically. In terms of the Blu-ray and DVD charts, this week we've got a number 5, Harry Potter The Complete Collection, number 4, Friday the 13th Part 2. Number 3, A Discovery of Riches Season 2. At number 2, we've got Godzilla. And at number 1, we've got Wonder Woman 1984. What I've been watching this week, I have one movie recommendation for you this week, and that is Stowaway. So this is a movie on Netflix, just dropped. It's a sci-fi movie, and basically a crew of 3 launch on a 2-year mission to Mars. When they just past the point of no return, they find an unconscious ground crew member hidden in a panel. As they start trying to find out what's happened, disaster strikes, and what was going to supposed to be a scientific mission becomes a fight for survival before they all run out of air. Now, what I hadn't realised this until I watched another YouTube video. I watch a YouTuber who's called Chris Manley, and what Chris does, he does a lot of Kerbal Space Programs and whatever, but I believe he works as a rocket scientist or engineer or something like that, but he has a tremendous amount of knowledge about, the physics of flying in space. And he actually advised on the design of the spacecraft for this, which is sort of like one of the things that pricked up my ears. I had actually already seen the movie at that point, but that just perked my interest a little bit as well. And basically the spacecraft is in 3 different parts. There is the original rocket bit on a long tether to a central bit which has the solar panels, and then the crew quarters on another long length. So as you can understand, if you can understand, the thing is like something spinning around to create artificial gravity through centrifugal force. But the spacecraft's in 3 parts and tethered together around this central bit which is spinning. And of course, at some point, they have to scale all of that tethering as well to get to the other side for a specific purpose, which is explained in the story. It's all very dramatic. What I would say is this is a really enjoyable movie. There were some bits, this is the irony of it, there were some bits on this movie which actually made me feel like a bit like I have vertigo. I don't like heights, but in space there isn't any height. But I was watching this and I was feeling a bit vertigo-ish in terms of watching it. It was really quite strange. But the film starts really, really well. It kind of loses itself a little bit in the middle, and then it pulls it back to the end. It doesn't correct all of the problems with the movie, but let's face it, trying to make a perfect movie is a very, very difficult thing. And what I think in terms of this movie is, it's certainly better for watching. I really enjoyed watching the movie at the time. The middle bit just dragged a little. It needed a little je ne sais quoi, and I don't know. They just didn't manage to achieve it in that bit. But that's not to say that the movie isn't a good movie. It's really enjoyable. It's well worth watching, and it was definitely a better payoff than Gravity, for example, which, to be honest, I felt was a bit naff and very unrealistic. But this feels more realistic in terms of its delivery. So, really good film, well worth a watch, and I would suggest that you would do so. Okay, so we're flying along today, I'm afraid, so we're going to go on to listener questions.
John, what's happening to us?
Right, we have listener questions. We don't have any questions from Mark. I think maybe he's decided he's not going to submit them anymore when he's not in, because he's a member of the show now. But we have, starting off as this week, is Jason Toon. And that question is, has there been any TV series or movies you've watched all the way through, despite not actively enjoying it, just so you can say you've seen it? He's recently watched and finished Dragon Ball GT, and he forced himself to sit through it because he enjoyed all of the other series in the franchise, and his inner completionist compelled him to watch it as well. Wow, that's a question. Has there been any series I've continued to watch and not enjoyed? I can think of a movie I've done it with. a movie I was so thoroughly repelled by at the whole thought of it. I thought it was a disgusting movie that should have never have been made, but I watched it with a sort of morbid fascination, and that is the Human Centipede, if you've ever seen that. That movie is truly gross and disgusting, and there's two of them. The premise of the movie is that a mad doctor lives in this very sort of like secretive house, or I should say it's a bungalow but with a basement, kidnaps 3 hitchhikers and then stitches them together. And that stitching together involves backside to mouth, quite literally. So he surgically stitches people's face to the backside of the person in front of them. And he also removes part of the kneecap so that they can only walk around on all fours. And obviously, you know, it is horrible, gross. It's the most disgusting film I have ever watched, but I was so taken aback by what I was seeing. I had to see if it changed any more. I mean, don't get me wrong, the first time I ever saw Clockwork Orange at the cinema, I walked out because I was completely bored with it. I just thought it was stupid. But this, it was, I can't describe, I have described what I saw, but I can't describe the inner emotions in terms of watching that film and how repulsed by that movie I was. And it was truly a horrible premise. I think that there must be something really wrong with whoever created that. And then the second one in that line is about somebody trying to copy them as well. There is a really, really gross element to it where obviously there is natural bodily functions that go on. I'm going to leave it there and let your imagination go wild. Human Centipede, if you really want to watch something that is utterly, utterly gross and be repelled by it, watch that. And I'm not saying that as a boast because of that. I actually managed to get through it. It's horrible. I would not recommend anyone watch that movie. I would recommend that every copy of that movie be burnt. It was disgusting. But I did watch all the way through it. But like I said, it was more of a morbid curiosity to see. I couldn't believe what I was seeing on screen, how that ever got past any censor at all. You know, it was horrible. Anyway, so yeah, that's the one movie for me. And not to say that because I've watched it, but as a boast. But I was sort of like forced to sit and watch my way through Pret-a-Porter, which, if you've ever seen that movie, is the climax of humour in that movie is a dog that keeps crapping all over the place, basically. It's not a nice movie. Absolute rubbish. It was a complete waste of time. But again, I was with a group of people I kind of like couldn't leave because I would have left in with about 5 minutes of that movie starting. I never even wanted to go and see the movie in the first place. It was horrible. In terms of series, I will ditch a series. I don't tend to force myself through series very often. I have, on occasion, tried to will myself to like a series because I know that its basic premise is that I will like it, but not because of any other reason. So, for example, I kept trying with Game of Thrones to like it, but I just couldn't get past season 1. Exactly the same was with The Expanse, which I spoke about recently. Both of those really tried, couldn't get anywhere with them, but I persevered. After 2 or 3 different watches, and then I started to like the movie, the show. Same with The Walking Dead. In terms of Fear of the Walking Dead, that's possibly the closest that I've got to continuing to watch a series for the sake of watching a series. Because I've not resonated with any of the characters. I'm on season 2, I think it is, or maybe 3. I think they're in Mexico somewhere like that. They haven't met the character from The Walking Dead yet. I know that, and I just, I'm trying to get through it to get to that bit. And likewise, another one is Man in a High Castle. I couldn't get on board with it. Didn't get it. And then I carried on watching it, and eventually it's clicked with me, and now I'm really enjoying it. So sometimes you can continue to watch a series and it suddenly gels with you, but most of the time I will ditch it like it, you know, it's, I'll just ditch it. I just, not interested at all. It's like Batwoman. Nah, not bothered what happens with that now. It was bad before, it's got worse. That's all I can say, really. So I won't be investing any time in that. So Albert Manafee has asked, everyone has a backlog of games. Do you have any regrets in gaming? Games you wished you played earlier, or games which you would never have invested so much time or money into? Yes, Albert, I have many, many, many gaming regrets with all of the games that I've got, because my gaming collection is absolutely massive. I have around about 1,000 games on Xbox, about 500 games on PlayStation as a platform, and on my PC, which I'm just looking up, I have 1,276 games. The main one, and this is not going to be any surprise to anyone at all on this podcast, is my main regret relates to any games produced by Bethesda, particularly Fallout. I cannot see what the appeal of that universe is. It has no redeeming features to me. Steve loves it. So does Mark. Good on them. You know, I'm glad that they get their enjoyment. But let's face it, even Steve has given up with Fallout 76 or whatever it is. I just, no. And Prey 2, didn't enjoy that either. Also, another one that I invested heavily in, hoping to get into it, which was the Dark Souls sort of games. They're just not for me. Did not enjoy it. Did not enjoy the gameplay at all. Completely got the gameplay. I didn't mind Bloodborne so much, apart from I did find it really quite repetitive and exceptionally punishing, and it's just not for me at all. And I also don't like the premise of having to go online in order to beat certain bosses. I would much rather it be, more achievable. So yeah, those sort of games are not for me. I've invested in some board games, as in electronic board games, and like all of the card games where it's all on screen and you're playing that sort of thing. And I don't enjoy that genre at all. It's not for me. So yeah, I'll play most genres, but there's just one or two I just don't get on with, and that sort of game is. But yeah, Bethesda games tend to be my biggest regret, and I'm going to have to say CD Projekt Red games as well, because everybody loves The Witcher 3, and I really struggle with that game to actually like it, and I've tried. I have it on PC, Xbox, PlayStation and Switch. I've got Cyberpunk, didn't enjoy that at all. And that's not because of the bugs, I just didn't enjoy it. Didn't enjoy the grungy kind of world that it related to, even though it was kind of a little bit Blade Runner-ish. So yeah, there's been a few. I think it's when you get led by the hype rather than led by your head. Okay, so Scott Kidd has asked, what further games are you looking forward to playing? Well, Scott, I think it's really difficult to say what games we are looking forward to playing, just simply because the schedules keep getting changed about what games are coming out and what games are coming out when. I think for me, the biggest game I'm looking forward to at the moment is obviously going to be the Mass Effect trilogy, which is coming out, because I absolutely love Mass Effect. I'm really looking forward to Returnal as well. We've got less than a week for that one now. Looking forward to that. I didn't enjoy Resident Evil 7, so I'm not really looking forward to that one anywhere near as much. There is a Leisure Suit Larry game that's coming out, which I always used to love those when I was a lot younger, so maybe, I don't know, depends upon how they do it. I've had a go at Soulstorm. Again, there's a video of how bad I am at that game on our Pop Culture Gamers YouTube channel. Please, have a look. Don't forget to like and subscribe. We need subscribers. But I didn't enjoy that at all. But I've never really enjoyed the Oddworld sort of games. Trying to think of what else is coming out that's out there. I was disappointed with Monster Hunter, and there's a new Monster Hunter Stories 2 coming out on a PC and Switch, which I'm not really going to be that sort of interested in. But quite interested to see Life is Strange True Colours, what that one's going to be like as well. So there's a few ones coming out, but I think that we're in a dark time for gaming at the moment, which is quite surprising considering that we are right in the middle, right in the middle of the first year of the new consoles being out. But that's the impact of the pandemic. So, we'll have to just wait and see. Okay, so next question is from Paul Wilson. Other than video games, gadgets, TV, films, music, computers, which other hobbies and interests do you actively enjoy? Is there any other interests and hobbies to all of that? What do I actually enjoy? I actually enjoy doing a bit of DIY, as long as I know what I'm doing, or I can figuring out a bit of DIY. I don't mind that at all. Quite enjoy doing that manual sort of thing because my job is not manual, so having that different sort of approach is really quite good. Obviously, spending time with your friends and family is not a hobby. That's something entirely different, so I'm not going to classify that in there. If I had the time, which I don't, I'm going to say digital photography, but I don't really have the time to take up that. The only thing I can do is really teach that now, and that's one thing that I do as a hobby is teaching. I teach computer courses for Rosset Adult Education, and we're doing those online now, so anybody can actually join the course. But I'm currently delivering a course on how to use your digital camera, which looks at the technical aspects of it, but also about the more artistic sort of interpretation, so that you can know about composition of pictures, that sort of thing. Next term I'm delivering a course in terms of presentation skills, so how to present using PowerPoint, using PowerPoint's best features, but also how to deliver it as a person as well, which is always, an important aspect of it. Other hobbies that I have, so I mentioned about the teaching. I quite like decorating, painting, that sort of thing, when I'm in the mood for it. I wouldn't say it's a hobby, but it's something that's quite enjoyable. I just think, generally sort of kind of creative stuff. So this podcast is a hobby. It's not a business. This podcast has cost me hundreds and hundreds of pounds to keep going, which I've funded. We don't get free copies of anything at all. No review copies, no nothing. Everything we review, we have purchased ourselves. We do have a couple of Patreons, and we really, thank you for those to those people. But that hasn't even paid what we've had so far. Hasn't even paid for the first year's worth of hosting, let alone all of the other costs associated with it, such as buying a domain name, all that sort of stuff. So, I would say the podcast is probably developing a podcast is the biggest hobby out of all of the ones that you hadn't mentioned there, that I do, because I do that on a weekly basis as well. And it's always good to, meet up with your friends, so, Steve and I, we've been friends for a lot of years. Mark, we've always had a really good relationship with as well. Met Mark a couple of times in real life. So it's always really nice to, get together with people and, discuss the stuff that you're passionate about. So, all of the stuff that we do on the show. So yeah, that's the activities that I enjoy. Last question for the show then is Lee Doty has asked, apart from games as a service, Destiny, which games have you spent the most time on? Just getting lost in the world, etc., etc. Well, they tend to be open world games, don't they, Lee? I would say. So, two of the games, well, as a matter of fact, most of the games that fall into this category for me all fall into the Assassin's Creed sort of world. So I would say in terms of Assassin's Creed, certainly on Odyssey, it took me 99 hours to complete, and there's still more gameplay in there, and I do keep going in that, and I'm on a second playthrough on a different platform. Actually a third playthrough on a different platform as well. And likewise, Assassin's Creed Origins, I've completed that on one platform on PlayStation, and doing it on PC and Xbox on another when I just feel like it. So, Assassin's Creed sort of universes. I've played a little bit Star Trek Online, which was okay, but I really didn't want to be involved with the subscription sort of service or whatever, because I think that you're sort of like level capped or whatever, and that's not for me. I'm not into online, massively multi-online games like other people are, so I have played a bit of Eve, but I wouldn't say I've spent hundreds of hours in that. I've completed Hellblade 4 times, so I would say I've spent a lot of time in that sort of universe there. Likewise, I would say that the Spider-Man games on the PlayStation, which includes the new Miles Morales one, you're in those worlds quite a long time. I haven't spent much time in Red Dead Redemption. I never seem to be able to get past the first... I never seem to carry on after the first chapter on that. I spent a bit of time in Anthem as a world, as another sort of like paid for service, and also in terms of the Marvel Avengers game, I played that one, played it as a part of a game as a service as well, not so much interested. And the universe I've probably spent the most time in over my gaming life, other than Destiny, has got to be that of the Elite universe, and most recently Elite Dangerous, which I have sunk hundreds and hundreds of hours into. So yeah, those are the universes that I've done. Lots for you to go at if you're looking for some long play sort of solution. I would definitely recommend, if you like space combat trading, is Elite Dangerous, and the new Odyssey expansion looks like it's going to be amazing as well. Anyway, that's it for this week. So in terms of contacting me, you can contact me on PSN, Xbox Live and Steam at HERJUK, also on Twitter at the same, and don't forget on Epic I'm Pop Culture Gamers. If you want to get in contact with the show, then our website is anchor.fm/popculturegamers. You can follow us on Twitter at popculturegamer. We've got a Facebook group. We have a Facebook page. And if you want to submit an inquiry or contact the show, you can email podcast@popculturegamers.co.uk. Don't forget as well, we have our YouTube channel where I'm posting quite regularly trailers of stuff that we've watched, and also gameplay footage of the games that we've played on there. So have a look and check out that as well. Right, so much shorter show than usual. Hope you guys enjoy it, and we'll all see you next time. Bye.